Okay, hey everyone, I'm Amanda, and this is Wellness Me Up. This is where we're talking about all of the weird and wise and wildly supportive sides of wellness with coaches that you can actually connect with when you're done pretending that everything is fine. So today I am joined by Corinne Van Kampen, who is a certified Reiki master, certified iridologist, and a certified shamanic healer. And so I asked Corinne to just sum up their approach to wellness in a couple of sentences. And here's what they said: restoring inner harmony through ancient healing and helping women discover and rebuild resiliency to be their best. So let's see if what Corinne is sharing today can help you get a little bit more wellness up. And there is Corinne right here. Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello.
It's so fun when we do these podcasts, right? Because here we are talking behind the scenes, and then we're just gonna hit record and let's talk and have a conversation about all the cool things that we get up to and what we do, right?
Mm.
I love these. So in this podcast, Corinne, we the way I kick it off is I always ask this first question so that way people get an idea, a little bit more of an idea of how you help people, what area of wellness you help people in. And there's 6 areas of wellness that I focus on. There is spiritual wellness, relationship wellness, emotional and mental health wellness, physical wellness, life transitions and identity wellness, and financial and purpose wellness. So for people that are listening, what areas of wellness do you support people through, and how do you actually support them on that journey?
Thanks, Amanda. I actually thank you for relisting them. I actually help people in almost all of those areas because I look at the whole person. It's a holistic approach to um, their themselves, their energy. A lot of what I do is energy based. It's also earth based. I use crystals. I use plants to help people. And in terms of, so I'll kind of work backwards from your list. So the financial and purpose, I won't be able to help someone win the lottery or up their salary, but I help people with their purpose because there's a lot of people that not really sure what their purpose in life is, or they know that what they're doing is not what they want to be doing or what they're meant to be doing. Life transitions, so that can be, to me, that means divorce, marriage, leaving home, saying goodbye to loved ones, or being that person who's transitioning eventually and gradually, and the emotional as well, spiritual, physical, and also relationships. So a lot of those are really centered on our chakras, which are all through our body. A lot of every single one of those has a connection to either one or more of the chakras. So my training has helped me. I can sense when people's chakras are out of balance, if they're overactive, if they're depleted or underactive. And that approach is to do with earth-based crystals, using them to balance things out, to energize, or to pull excess energy out of the area that is related to almost any one of those topics that you mentioned on your wellness map. And then the other part of what I do is, because I'm a certified shamanic healer and also do Reiki, I'm also able to tap into people's unconscious or subconscious energies. And quite often we have traumas, or we have life experiences in our past, whether it's yesterday or whether it's 50 years ago, that impact who we are and how we deal with things and how we cope and how we live day to day, or don't live our best life day to day. And so that's where that approach comes from. And what I do is I get people to open up a little bit. I find out a little bit about them, and then I usually give them recommendations based on what I'm picking up, because I'm somewhat intuitive as well. And then what we do is it's not usually one session. We usually do, I won't call it a program or a series, but we do a step-by-step approach to helping people really realize their potential, really empower them to take on the ability to help themselves a little bit more. And again, it's not finances, it's about energy, it's about how we respond to, or don't respond to, what's going on around us, and how we can see the beauty in everyday things, and we can bring that beauty and that energy to our own space. So I actually don't just treat people, I actually teach them, not entirely, like not every single part of it, but I teach them, I give them tips and ways to help themselves on a daily basis so they will feel more balanced day to day. And it's totally up to them to follow up with and to do what I'm suggesting. I always tell people when they come that they're going to have homework, so they're not getting off completely scot-free. There will be things they'll need to do when they get home. And it's been pretty successful so far.
I think that's the piece about wellness, right? Like if we can come into these journeys and we don't even know what it is that we need help with or any of the stuff, and we just, oh, we need to change, right? But then that homework piece, what do you mean that there's homework? What do you mean I actually have to do the things to get more well and to do this, right? And so when you work with somebody that is very good in the energy space, which you are, and you understand a lot of knowledge about crystals and how the body works, can you help people, like, is it in person only or is it distance as well?
Okay, that's a great question. A lot of what I do is in person, and being in person resonates with me. I can do one-on-one or I can do a group. Like if you bring a group of your friends over, we can have an experience together. But there are certain parts of what I do that are that can be done at a distance. Reiki can be done at a distance. The Iridology, which is an analysis of the eyes, that's more of a science-based approach to wellness, but they can send me pictures of their irises. That's a nice photo of each eye. I can do the analysis, and then we have a follow-up call to talk about what I found and what it means and things that they may want to change. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. I really believe in the extra energy that's brought to an in-person interaction, but I've been very successful with giving people distance Reiki, and I've done some iridology, as I said, where I get on a Zoom call with them afterwards, and we have some great conversations. So I've helped people as far away as the U.S. and a couple of people in England with that as well.
I think you were the first person I've ever met that has done, like, is an iridologist. And I was very intrigued by it. And so even with talking with you, you and I met in person a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the eye contact that you gave and how intently it was just such an intentional meeting before. And you were able to just guide that conversation so beautifully back then. And the things that you pick up on and remember are it's really a privilege to know you and to know how you work and to be in your orbit with that. So, but I didn't realize, I know that you were a shamanic healer, but the iridologist surprised me. I was like, she does this too? My gosh, what a cool thing to add into the mix of things that you offer. And so
thank you.
You've helped people. You can help people in person across the United States. You said even as England too, like, so across the pond. And so when people are feeling off and they don't know what it is that they need help with, they just know something needs to change. How is it that you're meeting them in those really beginning moments of healing?
Okay. Again, I do something called a discovery call, and we will connect. Usually, I mean, technology is amazing now. You can talk to somebody on the other side of the world, and it seems like they're just next door. I like to visually see the person if possible, like we're seeing each other right now. And if not, they can send me a picture of themselves. And then I really just I listen to them. I listen to what they're feeling. Quite often, like you said, they don't really know what they need, but through the course of that 15 or 20-minute conversation, I pick up on cues or things that are telling me that, oh, this is something we need to try, or we can address it this way. And then I make sure that they agree with what I'm suggesting, even if they don't understand what I'm going to do to them or with them. And there's always a lot of give and take with questions and answers. And once they're comfortable with what I'm suggesting, then we meet in person most of the time. Or in the case of the iridology or the distance Reiki, we can do it at distance. But and then when they come, we sit down again, and I go a little more in depth, because 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes is not a lot of time, especially if people are out of balance, and or they aren't sure what they really need. And I've actually found that some people will say, "Oh, I'm coming for Reiki," and then totally take a left or a right turn, and we end up doing shamanic healing, or we do the crystals, or we even do the iridology, because it's just a little bit. Sometimes people know what they want. They think they know what they want, and that's not what they need. So there's that discovery call, and then sometimes it can change when they show up in person. But I also connect with their guides the night before they come up for their appointment, and I ask their guides what they need, and that's part of the shamanic work that I do. I connect with their spirit guides to help them. So I'm giving them what they is truly meant for them, instead of it just being, garden variety. I'm kind of like a chiropractor, a massage therapist. Nobody gets exactly the same treatment. It's very customized for the person.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of having a couple of different modalities that you can tap into, because if you're connecting with guides like the day before, whenever that is happening with you to do that, you then know that even though they're coming for the Reiki or doing that, that's not actually what's going to support them with what they're working on. And you intuitively can do those things and connect with guide, with spirit. Is that the correct language? Like, to do
Yes,
that. So
absolutely.
then that way, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I know what it feels like to be in your orbit, know who you are, have like in and around, talk about you, what you do for other people. When somebody then comes to meet you, has a session with you, and you've spoken to their guides, you help them through, whether it's Reiki, iridology, whether it's with crystals, any of that good stuff. What's a moment that happens for these people that are coming to work with you that's like a big shift, or a moment that happens that is like, oh, I'm ready to now move forward in the wellness goals that I had for myself. I'm ready to propel forward in this. So is there like a familiar, like, aha moment that happens with the people that you're working with?
Okay. Yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
It can vary from person to person. Sometimes people will, when they're on my table and I'm doing crystals on them, using the crystals on them, and some people prefer for me to not talk to them, and some people, they want to know as much as they can while I'm working on them. And so some people, I talk them through I don't explain to them what I'm doing necessarily, but I'll say I'll tell them what I'm picking up on, and then we have that conversation. And then quite often I'll also get them to try to be still and quiet in their mind, which is not always the easiest thing for most of us, and just have them listen to what they hear or they smell. I've actually had people saying that they smell certain things, and that can be of significance too. What they're feeling and what they're hearing and what they're smelling, and to really pay attention, because a lot of us are going Mach 2 with our hair on fire. We don't really pay attention. So I have a healing space here where people can come and they can just literally kind of unload, like they can relax and they can unload. And I think that's so important when we're going, because our lives are very busy, and they just keep going faster and faster. So that's a space where they can really kind of just settle in. And I usually ground the person before they get on my table or before we do any of the shamanic work that I do. There's also people that if they're not ready, they're not energetically strong enough to have shamanic work done, I will say, it's time for you. You need a crystal. You need to have your chakras balanced. And I don't really, that's something I can pick up on in person. But that would be an in-person kind of appointment. And if they have energetic blocks, once those blocks start shifting energetically, people actually do start feeling, and sometimes they actually start seeing. They'll see things, and they'll tell me about that, and then we'll build on that and what that means. And they go away with a better understanding of the symbolism and the importance of things that they feel and they see while they're here. But also, I've encouraged people to pay attention to what's going on around them, because after a healing session, it's not really, it really ideally should not be a matter of them like, oh, thanks, see you next time, or you know, and then they're back to, you know, all the 50 million things they have to do that day. I try to get them to understand that they need to try to take some quiet moments for themselves during the day and for the next few days after their session, and see what comes up. And they're welcome to text me or email me and ask me, or tell me what's going on and ask me what that means. And the biggest shift for a lot of people happens not while they're here, but it happens like 24 or 48 hours after they leave my studio. Because they're allowing what happened here to work on them, to make some shifts for them. But then, like I said, there's some other people who will, you know, they will have an emotional release while they're here, and then there's a follow-up. I always encourage a follow-up session for people who've gone through something, you know, something pretty heavy duty. I don't want to just send them off into the world and never speak to them again or see them again.
So much of what you're saying resonates, right? Because life can get so busy, and it's hard. It can feel very hard for a lot of us to feel safe enough to just slow down. And it doesn't feel safe because we're just supposed to be going like, oh my gosh, my boss needs this. I have like 4 deadlines. So many of my friends are moms too on top of this, and they're running around with the kids, soccer practice. Got to just do, you know, bake all these things for the friends. They've got a birthday party coming up, like 4 of them actually, all of these things that are going on, right? So it's hard to just be okay to just to slow down and settle into that, slow a little bit. And so by coming to see you and with all the grounding exercises that you're going to help them do, it really just seems like you help them find that pause a little bit to start noticing these things. And you follow up with the integration work afterwards to say, hey, let's talk about some of the things that are coming up. Because if you're saying that these shifts or realizations are going to happen after they leave you, then it's important to have that follow up and talk about the stuff that's coming up, because now they're actually going to be paying attention to it. It's like when you play that game, like see how many yellow cards you can find. Well, before you weren't paying attention for the yellow cards, and now you're going to be looking for them everywhere. So now you're going to see the yellow cards coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you can have a conversation and follow up that piece after. And that's why I think it's so important working with people that do the meaningful work that you do, because you know how to follow up with them afterwards and dig into what they noticed when they were slowing down and feeling safe enough to do those things.
Absolutely.
So when, like that in itself, this leads into this question too, but that could be very surprising. If real, like healing is real, like, oh my gosh, it's very surprising. It can feel very alive. And what is one of like the most surprising things that people realize about themselves after when they start working with you? Or if there's something specific that's kind of coming to mind, is something like really surprising, like, oh, I didn't realize this is what it would be like to work with you.
I think part of some of the feedback, so a lot of that's based on some feedback I've received and from my clients who've come, and they're genuinely surprised and grateful that there's more than, well, like once I close the door to my studio and say goodbye, excuse me, that's not necessarily the end of it, that there's support there for them. The other thing that a lot of people are surprised about is the changes in people around them. That once they've made some shifts, or once they start making shifts, the people around them, it's not that someone becomes a totally different person. It's just those people start responding to them differently, or they're able to cope with things better than they did before because they understand a little bit more about it. And also people are surprised with how much more they pay attention to something that happens. You know, they see a certain animal a lot, or, you know, something keeps coming up in their mind that, you know, they kind of ignored before. So there's some some repetitiveness in that, but I would say that people realize that others, or come to realize that other people are responding to them differently, if they've embraced what we've done together, and the healing has worked, obviously, that's when that really happens, and they become more aware of their own triggers and some of the behaviors that they've been exhibiting especially in relationships. A lot of people I work with, they have relationship issues. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be loved ones, it could be someone at work, and just seeing some shifts happen between themselves and that person or persons is really it's surprising to them, because sometimes people think, oh, that whatever I'm doing to them is only going to benefit them, is only going to change them. And largely that's true, but it's kind of that ripple effect or domino effect, or whatever word you want to use. You really can change your environment or change the space and the energy around you once you start doing little things or even bigger things to help yourself.
I think that's a big, big thing that you have tapped into with wellness, right? Because when we start looking for a little bit of support with things that we're going through that are tricky or just unsettling for us or not feeling safe, and then we get that support, we are no longer the same person that we were before. Maybe we're going to shift and we're going to change a little bit. So then we get to rediscover who we are, and other people's perceptions of us are going to start to change then too. And how you maybe showed up in a relationship before, or a dynamic, may not be the same way once you start doing these things. It's like when you see one of those pictures and you shift it a little bit differently, you see a different image in it.
Yeah.
Or I used to play like Boggle or things like that, and you can like shift a little bit and be like, oh my gosh, I see that word now, or see this, you see it a little bit differently. And so that starts to happen often with people that we're with. And it can be a little tricky to just like get to know that person again and understand where they're coming from and do that. But then that's where changes happen into with the people that you're liaising with and spending time with and connecting with, because you're no longer seeing things the same way anymore.
And the changes can be, and the changes can be subtle.
Yeah.
You're not, if somebody's somebody's always on your case at work, they're not all of a sudden going to be, a totally different person necessarily. But the way you handle it, or they might, it could be something that takes a while. It's not going to happen in those first 2 or 3 days. It could be just something that happens with that person, with your relationship with that person, down the road. And a lot of it's very subtle, and sometimes they don't even realize it's happening. Some people will say, oh, you've kind of changed. Like, you're not a totally different person, but you're not as, you don't get as upset as you used to, or you don't react the way you used to, and I mean, it's usually the people that are closest to us that notice those shifts. But most people aren't looking to become a totally different person. They just want to be they want to be better and do better and feel better. So that requires change. It requires a little bit of work too, but so I'm the facilitator. And something I would just want to emphasize is I'm not healing these people. I'm showing them the path and the way that we can tap into some of the energies around them to help them heal. And that's part of the reason there's homework, is because if someone comes to me and says, okay, fix me, I can do that. I can do something temporarily with them, but they're not there for the right reasons. They're there because they want someone to fix them. They want someone to make their life different. And life is hard, but it's within each of us to improve our lives.
Yeah. And sometimes the things that are happening to propel us towards these changes are things that are out of our control too. And so when we come and look for support, and we look for whether it be therapist or coach or somebody that works in that spiritual realm, sometimes it's a life curveball that has happened to us. And maybe we've received a diagnosis, maybe we've something that has happened. And we can't fix that stuff. That's like something out of our control in so many ways, but we can change our mindset a little bit to it. We can have more information. There are things that we can do to help our bodies heal. But yeah, there's a lot of things that can just happen to just change with why we're looking at things and looking at ourselves and looking for help in the first place. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have energy, we have multiple energy fields around us. And by the time you become physically ill, there's already been like 3 or 4 layers that whatever lesson you're supposed to learn or whatever shift you need to make, you haven't caught up, you haven't picked up on it. And like you said, quite often people, they're not waiting for that diagnosis to make a change, but then they're really they pay better attention. They pay more attention because we are spinning so fast in our day-to-day lives that we don't really take care of ourselves as well as much as we should. So sometimes it's a wake-up call. And yeah, and that's, I mean, a lot of us who are in the space and do what I do, we've had something in our lives that has triggered our desire to help other people and maybe help prevent them from getting, diagnosis or having them have a life-altering event happen, and get them in a place where they can either avoid that or at least do the best they can to avoid that. Because yeah, a lot of us we've survived something very, very major in our lives.
Yeah, and it's given that perspective as well, right? So even if we can't fix it or do these things, we might just even have some more tools to help move through it and get to the other side of it. So, and it's pretty incredible hearing some of the stories that have led us to our learnings and to what we now know and can support ourselves through and through other people through. And the fun thing is too, it never stops either. Even when we've gone through these big things that have helped with these shifts and to help with these awareness, there's still more to go and learn and unpack and discover, right? So
we never stop learning. I mean, I've had people come to me and first thing they say is, "Oh, I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to ground myself." And they leave knowing how to do both and being reminded that grounding, not even the meditating, but the grounding and protecting yourself, protecting your own energy, and being aware that people are consciously or unconsciously draining us and we're giving away our energy on a daily basis to others. That's probably one of the biggest aha moments that people have when they come here. And that's on top of what I already said earlier, is that's another one that's really kind of like, really? And and I've worked with people who say, oh, I can't meditate, and they've gone into a meditation and they've come back with some pretty extraordinary stories or experiences, and then they want to do it again. It's like when you try that candy for the first time and you really like it, or you try that your favorite meal and it's like you want more of it. So not an addiction, and we're not going addiction here. We're just, the things appeal to us. We're attracted to things that work. Something that works for us, that they're going to want more of it.
The things that feel good. And you are very right about paying attention to where our energy goes and how that happens. I remember I didn't know how to meditate and do these things a long time ago. And I sometimes thought that I had to like clear out the thoughts and just be really still. There was a way to just do it. And one of the meditations that I use, and when you said be where your energy is going, and I remember learning to just pretend that I was a vacuum. And I would like send out umbilical cords throughout the day. Like at the end of the day, I would send out umbilical cords to be like, hey, who did I talk to today? Who did I spend time with? Who to have conversations with? Where were my thoughts even going? And I would just imagine this vacuum, like bringing my energy, calling my energy like back into me. And even that was really rhythmic and supportive and helping with that, because we don't know where our energy. So it was a good practice, because you could be so tired at the end of the day. Like, why do I feel so fucking tired? Why am I exhausted? Why am I so depleted? Why can I not? I just want to nap and not get my head off the pillow and just be like a vegetable and do nothing.
Yeah,
Well, where did you spend
absolutely.
your energy? Where did you
Yeah.
spend your energy today? So even just going through that process of like, okay, like recounting where that energy got spent and bringing it back in, right? So,
Hmm.
made me think of
Yeah.
that because I never used to think before about where my energy was going. And whenever I'm full out exhausted, I have to think, well, where did it all go today? Who did I give that? Where did it go?
Well, and that's why one of the things I tell everybody who I work with, don't leave home without it, your protection. And that's something I teach people is how to protect themselves. Because even if you're not going into a situation that you know is going to be stressful or traumatic or, you know, with family or work or whatever, um, people around us and even events around us, they drain us. You know, it's even things we witness can drain us. And so putting up your own protection is extremely important. And that's something that I know when I haven't put my protection up um, before I go out, because I'm usually really tired. I usually remember when I'm out and I'm just like, oh, I
Mhm.
could do that. So it's never too late to put it up. But if I don't put it up at all because I'm too busy or too, yeah, just too busy, then I usually hit a wall before bedtime.
Mhm. Yep. That the preoccupied thing comes in, right? Because we're all human. We all get about our day and something happens, it squirrels us, takes us off. Oh, I got to go and do this. And then we're out there and thinking, I did not do this. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do something that, and to use the words that you're using, I didn't do something that's going to ground me and protect me and to just, yeah. So that is incredible that you're helping people put that up around themselves because it's very intentional that way. Then you're being very present minded, thinking
Mm-hmm.
about, okay, I'm good right now, but I'm about to go out there where I don't have so much control of the things that are about to happen. So what can I do to feel a little bit more steady in my day?
And the great thing
Hmm.
about the great thing about the grounding and protection that I'm talking about, you're not using your own energy. You're not using someone else's energy either. You're using the universal energy. That's one of the cornerstones of Reiki
Hmm.
is I'm not get when I'm working with people, I don't give them my energy. And if anybody who's on my table doesn't want to receive it or they don't need it or whatever the reason is, that energy goes into me
Hmm.
because it's pure and it's, you know, positive intention. And yeah, so that's the great thing about it. So I mean, I've had people ask me, aren't you exhausted after you've seen, you know, 3 or 4 people in a day? I'm usually flying.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's quite it's grounding for me. But if I have a day where I'm working with clients and I don't ground myself, I can that's usually when partway through the day I was like, oh, I didn't ground myself today. So just it's a reminder. And once you start doing it, you're gonna notice when you don't do it. And then and again, this grounding protection, it doesn't take hours. It doesn't even once you get practice at it, it takes a couple minutes. And I'm sure everyone could spare a couple of minutes in their day to take care of their own energy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's what you're prioritizing and what you're allocating and
Mm-hmm.
doing that, right? So if it's like, hey, I have this tool, I know how to do it the same way you might boil the kettle to have a cup of tea or coffee or do that stuff. Like if we can make
Mm-hmm.
time to do these things, what else might you have time to do to just set your day up for a little bit more success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is like I'm going to go into one of my favorite parts of the podcast that I'm doing here because we can get up, we can ground ourselves, protect ourselves, put this universal energy around ourselves. We can do all these things. You can still go about your day, but something could pop up in any part of your day or your life, and it can just spin you completely. And it can
Mm-hmm.
be completely random and absurd. And you're going to be like, what actually just happened? Like, how did that even just happen in the day? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And so, because we can never fully predict what a day is going to bring and what's going to happen, life things happen. And it could be completely bananas. We could have a day that's like, what was that? And that's wellness, right? Because there's no like, oh, we're going along the perfect path and everything's so great and I'm checking everything off. Things are still going to come up because wellness, as we know, is not linear and fuckety things happen all of the time. So what I've been doing on the show is I've been spinning this wheel to decide the next question that we're going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we don't know what it's going to land on. And I use ChatGPT to talk about the question. And so the question comes up. And oh, I feel like I'm frozen or you're frozen. One of us is frozen.
I'm frozen.
Are you frozen? I was like, one of
Yep.
us is frozen. I can hear
I'm
you though.
frozen.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
what's going
frozen.
on? One of us. It's actually landed on a really beautiful, like free state. I'm always interested to see how that happens. Yeah, but that's okay. Maybe what I'll do, you can turn off your screen for a second and I'll share my screen and I'm going to spin
Okay.
this wheel. And then by the time you come back on, maybe your the technology will catch up with it. I'm glad you can still hear
Okay.
me though. You never
I
know,
can hear
right?
you.
When it's just two of us, we never know who's actually frozen, what's happening.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
Technology. It's the retrograde.
Technology. I know it
Darn
is. It
retrograde.
is the retrograde. Yes. You did tell me that the technology has been messing, like the
Messed
Mercury
up.
retrograde has been messing with the technology.
Yep.
So, okay, what I'll do is I will share screen. So that way we can spin this wheel and we're going to see what it's going to land on. Can you still see me or is it frozen for you too?
No, I can see you.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to share screen. And then I will give this a spin. And if we need to pause when we come back, we can do that after. So that way your technology has a chance to catch up. See, we could never have predicted that that was going to happen either. Technology,
No.
right? We just don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
Okay,
Got to
let me
be
spin.
prepared. Anything can happen.
That's right. We just carry on. We're like, we'll just figure this out. It's fine. Okay, let me spin this and see what question that ChatGPT came up with these possible questions for us to answer. So I just plug in 6 of them and we let the wheel decide. Okay, I'm gonna spin it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, when was the last time you surprised yourself with how far you have come?
Wow.
Oh, when was the last
That's a great
time? I know, right?
surprise.
I never know what's going to happen. These questions could be so deep, or like, I don't know, why are we suddenly talking about like our favorite smoothie ingredient? But now we're talking about when was the last time you surprised yourself with how far you have come? I'm going to stop sharing and
See if I'm back yet.
see if you're back yet.
Doesn't look like I am. Now all I'm seeing is 2 screens with you, and there's one that
It is.
where
I
you're moving,
see
and the other one's you're frozen. That's
it's
okay.
frozen, right?
As long as as long as you can still hear me, then it's still recording my voice.
It is still recording your voice. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So
So,
they get to look at your beautiful face. There you go.
you know, they will, right? That's fine. Okay. So, what is yeah, when was the last time that you surprised yourself with how far you've come?
It was actually probably a couple of weeks ago, even maybe last week. I was at an event where someone I'd never met before was asking me about myself, and was asking me why I do what I do in the wellness space. And I didn't give her a complete rundown of my entire life, but I came to realize that when she asked me, when did you start doing that? And she asked me a few questions. It's just like, I've done a freaking deacon heck of a lot of stuff in my life, right? Like I'm not talking just the getting married, having kids, got the dogs, the house, all of that, but just where I've been in the world, who I've met, who's influenced me, who I've influenced, and also just I'm a cancer survivor, I'm a trauma survivor, but I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. And that was and someone else, this person I was talking to, said, you seem to be pretty, I don't know if she used the word zen or just very calm. And she asked me, have you always been that way? And I said, absolutely not. Like it's only really kind of come to come to fruition. It's a journey, right? Like our lives are journeys, and there's lots of stops along the way, but I'm still not completely healed from all the stuff I've gone through. It's again a process, but it made me stop and realize that, and consciously remind myself, I've been through a lot. And then that person said, you should write a memoir because you've had a pretty cool life. And then, a couple of years ago, I would have, or longer ago, I would have said, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, have I? And when she said that to me a couple of weeks ago, I thought, I sure as heck have. And again, doing something for me. Would I write a memoir so I could, be a published author and make lots of money? No, it would be something to do for me, because it's been an amazing life, and I'm grateful for even the bad stuff that's happened, because that's what makes us who we are and makes us completely unique from anybody else out there. I mean, there's billions of people on this earth, and we all have a uniqueness about us that we should always remember. We're special in our own right, and we're not just, we should not just be existing and coping and surviving. We need, everyone needs to thrive, and I hope everyone finds what they need to do to become a thriver.
I do kind of agree though about the memoir, because you were talking and now you're not here on screen. And so it feels like when we see voiceovers on any of our TikToks or Instagrams or whatever else, it felt like you were doing a voiceover and I was just nodding along. And so that might be the thing. It might just be the voiceover. You could apply this and be like, everybody is a thriver. Everybody should be doing this and can do this and can overcome things, right? And it's when we're so surprised all the time about how far we've been, because where we were before, I don't even think I was the same person I was yesterday. Like we change all of the time. Like we can change all of the time. There's similarities, and of course for sure, but we sometimes just don't give ourselves enough credit for where we've been and how far along we have come in the things that we're learning. So,
And it can just be small changes. It can just be small shifts. It doesn't have to be, a life-changing event like an illness or death in the family or marriage, or it doesn't need to be it's not just the big stuff. It's to me, it's all the little stuff that weaves together a life that is, hopefully for everyone, is well lived. And even though I've lived through cancer and I've lived through trauma, it's my life, and it's been an amazing life, and it still is an amazing life. It continues to be that, but it's a lot of those little things that add up that make it so special. And that's what people need to appreciate try to appreciate in their everyday life.
I feel like this is transitioning into the question that I like to wrap up the show with, and the way that you just phrased that with the well life, everybody deserves to live that. If we were to ask you what Wellness Me Up means to you in your own words, how would you explain that?
Well, I'm getting a visual right now. A woman goes into a bar, walks up to the bar, and it's a saloon, actually. It's like in the Old West. And this is like literally coming to me like right now. And she goes up to the bar and she's like, set me up. Only in this case, it's wellness me up. So instead of giving me liquor and alcohol and all those things that are potentially bad for me, it's basically, we got all this stuff behind the bar on the shelves. They always have mirrors and stuff. It's like, set me up with all these wellness aspects of wellness that I want and need. And so it's about filling myself up with nourishment, with balance, with clarity, with gratitude. And it creates a calmness that just helps me continue to be someone who's thriving, because I have desire, I have intention, and I have belief about everything in my life. And I hope that other people, when they think about, wellness me up, it's be like, what do they need to fill their cup with to be as well as they can be? But
Yes. Yes. I am loving that. Set me up. So going to the bar and ordering that, or even going to a grocery store, imagine just putting everything that you need for the wellness into your cart and being like, I need this. This is
yeah,
good. What's going to make me feel a little bit safer. I could use a little bit of clarity on this conflict that's happening in my life. I could use a little bit of movement because I'm feeling sore. I haven't done these things today. All of it, and just putting it on it into the cart or on the shelf and picking that out. Um, yes, please.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
asking for it is one of the hardest things for people to do.
Oh my gosh. Asking, so this is a Corinne, yeah. This is even for my own wellness and the things that I work on,
Hmm.
asking for help. Asking for help is still one of the trickiest things that I've moved through. And I've gotten so much better with it. I have. Like, I feel like I have. And I know where it's come from in my life, why I have such a hard time doing that and asking for help. And I know that I have gotten better for it, but it still is like, like it's still hard to do that. And so asking what it is, even for help, or what it is that we need, is it can be a really tricky thing for a lot of us out there as we go through the wellness stuff. So I would really
Absolutely.
appreciate your shelf, because maybe if it was on a shelf and I could look at all the products and read the ingredients of it, and how many calories am I going to eat to do this, or what is it going to happen? Maybe if it was just so easy as shopping or looking at it behind a bar or any of that, maybe it
Yeah.
might be a little bit easier to express what it is that I need or what I need help with. Like that one, I want that pretty bottle up there, please and thank you. Like that is gonna what's gonna make me feel better.
Hmm.
Or yeah, can you help me carry in
It's
this case so I can refill the stock here? Like any of that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And almost like the shelves in a store or behind a bar, like we were talking about. But also, it could be like almost like a menu. Like you have a
Yeah.
selection. You have a choice, and sometimes you need help making those choices. But I find, again, and I'm going based on the people I've helped, once they get going, then they can't figure everything out for themselves all the time. But sometimes I have people contacting me like for that have been here for a few times, and they'll be like, okay, Corinne, I need this and this because it's about this person. So they've opened themselves up to the energy that's been created around them and in them with the work we've done together, but they're also so much more self-aware and invested in their self-care. And I think one of the biggest steps is that initial um, I need help, asking for help or asking for support.
It is. Once you can kind of get through there, then you can do it. But you're right. I like the idea of a menu too, to just look through it and to offer that and support, right? And that's kind of like what happens with podcasts or social media, all of this. We all get little samplers out there of what it is that people do, how they talk about a certain topic. And you can look at somebody and say, this is somebody that's really going to understand what it is that I'm experiencing, what it is that I'm going through, the help that I might need, and they can actually help me get some of that stuff. So yes, please, I would like to click here and figure out how to connect with you. And so if people want to, if they're listening to this, if they are watching you and they are thinking, yeah, I would actually like to select Corinne on that menu, please and thank you, to help me with the wellness things. And I would like to get onto her table or maybe have some distance, Reiki, whatever that looks like. How are they getting in connection with you? How are they connecting with you so that they can learn more about you and how to work with you?
Okay, thanks, Amanda. The best way to get in touch with me is first of all, I have a website. So it's whisperingbirchwellness.ca. So because I'm in Canada, so it's .ca. And there's a form there they can fill out if they want to, and we can do it via email. The other way they can do it is I have a business page on Instagram and one on Facebook. and they can message me through there, and just message me directly, and we can start a conversation and maybe have that discovery call I was talking about, and go from there and see how it goes. Because the important thing is that it's a right fit for them, because it's not, there's no danger or risk to what we do together, but they have to feel comfortable with me before they, because they're potentially opening themselves up to some very personal things. So that's, discovery call is very, very important. So I'm on socials, I have a website, and I post regularly on my socials, and it's got a list of my services on the social media and also on my website, and then they can ask questions. We can get a conversation going, and see where it leads.
I like the idea. I like the discovery calls, because that does really, like you said, it gives everybody a chance to just have a one-on-one conversation with you, see how it feels with them in their language, with how they get to know you, and that builds that rapport, right? And they can decide from there how they want to move forward. So that's really incredible that you offer that. I always know this happens, that as soon as I hit end record, there's always something else that comes up after. It's just like, I wish I had said that. Like, why didn't I say that? Or anything like that. So if there's anything else that you want to share about you, about the services that you offer, let us know. And if not, I can always just add that in later. Do a little caption on the post.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, so I can do that now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. I think people ask me why I do this. And it's not just because I had a wake up call with my own health years ago. It's because I want to help people, and because a complementary approach to wellness is what saved my life. I lost a lot of friends while I was going through my cancer journey, a lot of people I got to know, and I'm still here. I've almost died twice in my life, come very close to dying twice in my life, and I'm still here, and there's a reason I'm still here, and that's because I'm supposed to be here to help people. And that's at the heart and soul of what I do and why I do it now.
I'm very glad and grateful that you are still here too. I feel like this is what happens when we go through these really big things in our lives, is that next part in that journey is, okay, I've gone through these things, and now I want to be able to help people also going through the things. So cancer survivors, thrivers, people have been through like really, really activating experiences in their lives, that seems like that's like it could be your ideal audience of people that could get in touch with you to get some real support with their wellness and help them move and create some real shifts and waves in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And my phone number, I should mention again, there's always something, right? My phone number and my email is on the website as well as on my socials, if that's a preferred way for people to get in touch with me.
Oh, incredible. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, thank you very much. I'm really, really appreciative that you were able to be here today and have a conversation with me. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you for inviting me into your space, and this has been a really enjoyable way to spend a cloudy, sort of rainy Monday morning.
That it is. Okay, everyone. So that is another episode of Wellness Me Up. Here's to everyone getting a little bit more wellnessed up, one episode at a time. We will catch you next time.